Honey, you could have heard a pin drop when Justin Bieber walked into that courtroom. No paparazzi, no flashing bulbs, just gasps and dropped jaws. And it wasn't because of a flashy suit or designer shades. No, he came in stripped down, black jacket, plain white tee, that haunted look in his eyes. This wasn't pop star Justin. This was truth teller Justin. When he took the stand, everything changed. His voice steady but weighed down with memories. His eyes distant but determined, and the moment he said his name, for the record, Justin Drew Bieber, you could feel every soul in that room bracing for impact. The lawyer wasted no time. How do you know, Mr. Combs? Justin paused, not because he didn't have an answer, but because the truth had been buried for so damn long. I met him when I was 15. I was a kid. He was already Diddy. He said it like a confession, that Diddy had promised mentorship, fame, power, glory, but it came at a cost. And honey, the price? It was soul-shattering. It started off with events, then parties, the private kind. No press, no phones. He'd say, real moments don't need recordings, but now I know what he meant was no proof. At just 16, Justin started seeing the cracks. There were girls, young, my age, maybe younger. Diddy would smile, offer drinks, and whisper, this is how legends are made. But it didn't feel legendary. It felt wrong. Then came Miami. Diddy flew him out to talk business, but there wasn't a boardroom or a music studio in sight. Just 2 guys from Diddy's circle and 5 girls with hollow eyes and fake names. One looked like she wanted to vanish into thin air. And when Diddy handed Justin a drink and pointed at one of the girls, saying, she's yours tonight, that was it. This wasn't mentoring, it was grooming. Let that sink in. He was just a teenager. And instead of being protected, he was being preyed on, used like a puppet in a much darker show. Justin wasn't alone. Other young boys, other eager artists, they were all being lured into this glittering web of control. Studio time, award shows, fame on a silver platter. But always there was a price, the cost of silence. You never asked questions, Justin said. If a girl cried at a party, you looked away. If someone passed out, you didn't call for help. His team handled it. That word again, handled. And babe, the truth is, these weren't parties. They were orchestrated nightmares, dressed up with expensive champagne and designer shoes. Every time Justin saw a new girl show up and disappear just as fast, he knew something was rotten. There was one girl, Nia. She used to light up the room, he said. Next time I saw her, she couldn't even make eye contact. Not tired, traumatized. He tried pulling away, but Diddy didn't like distance. If I missed a trip, he'd call my management. Tell Scooter, don't let your boy get ungrateful. That was his way of saying, I made you, I can destroy you. And Justin believed it. For a long time, he stayed silent. He smiled at those parties, and he hated himself for it. There were nights I couldn't sleep. Nights I'd replay those parties in my head. And one night in LA, at Diddy's mansion, it all came crashing down. Phones were confiscated, lights were low, girls barely legal, dressed up like fantasies, but none of them looked happy. One was escorted to a room, clearly terrified. And when Justin asked someone about her, the answer was simple, she's been handled. He looked right into the jury box and said, I knew the difference between fun and exploitation. I just didn't want to admit I was watching the second one happen again and again. Then there was Amber. She came up to me, said she didn't feel safe, asked for help. I said I'd get someone, but when I came back, she was gone. Gone, vanished, like a shadow swallowed by the night. Justin never saw her again. The prosecutor leaned in. Mr. Bieber, did you personally witness behavior that you believe was criminal? Without a flinch, Justin said yes. He saw girls too young being treated like party favors, people afraid to say no, staff being silenced by NDAs, artists being blacklisted. It was a system, a machine. And Diddy, he ran it like a maestro. He made it look normal, Justin said. But it wasn't. It was calculated. Even when he tried to pull away, tried to say no, he paid the price. Projects disappeared. People whispered, he's gone crazy. He's too emotional now. The industry turned on him. But the biggest shift, it was inside Justin himself. I started to believe I was crazy, that I imagined it all. It took years of therapy, honest talks with Hailey, finding his truth again. Because Diddy didn't just traumatize you, he trained you to think it was all normal. Then came 2014. That night in New York, Diddy called it a VIP reset. It was anything but. Girls who looked barely out of high school, windows blacked out, no music, just a quiet hum of tension and danger. One girl grabbed Justin's wrist. Her eyes begged for help. And Diddy, he walked in, surveyed the room like it was his kingdom and smiled. "This is what power looks like," he said. Then he pointed at a girl and told Justin, "Take her, go relax." And when Justin froze, "You'll learn. You're still soft." That was it. He ran, left the penthouse, never went back. But that night followed him, into his dreams, into every mirror. You don't forget a girl looking at you like that, and you don't forgive yourself for not saving her. This wasn't mentorship, Justin said. It was manipulation. He was done protecting the illusion. He talked about another girl in an elevator, just 17, told she was coming for a video shoot. There were no other girls her age. She cried the whole ride home. And Justin, he knew. He knew what this was. He'd known for a long time, and he stayed silent until now. The courtroom didn't move, didn't blink. Justin looked around, his voice quiet but unflinching. This isn't about revenge, this is about truth. He spoke for every girl who didn't have a voice, every artist who vanished into the shadows, every version of himself that kept quiet out of fear. He didn't just name Diddy, he exposed the entire system built around him. Agents, executives, celebrities, even the media. They glamorized him, covered for him, called stories rumors, ignored the warning signs. But the warning signs were always there. They were just wrapped in gold chains and party lights. This trial won't undo what's been done, Justin said, but maybe it'll stop the next version of him from being born. He said he had it all: fame, money, platinum records, but none of it mattered when he couldn't even look at himself in the mirror, because silence was the real prison. And as he stepped down from that stand, the room didn't cheer, didn't clap. They just watched, because everyone knew they had just witnessed a takedown bigger than a scandal. It was the unmasking of a culture, the fall of a king, and the rise of a voice that refused to stay silent any longer. What most people forget about Justin Bieber is that he didn't just grow up in the spotlight, he was thrown into it, catapulted from singing on YouTube to sharing stages with rap moguls who treated fame like currency and kids like collectibles. And the thing is, no one ever tells you how lonely it feels when you're surrounded by people but can't trust a single one of them. Because let's be real, every time Justin walked into one of those exclusive industry parties, he wasn't walking into a celebration. He was walking into a trap disguised in diamonds and champagne. And who was always at the center of it? Diddy, the man who made the rules, broke the rules, then made sure no one ever spoke about them, a man who everyone whispered about behind closed doors, but no one had the guts to confront. Until now. Behind every bottle popped and velvet rope crossed was a calculated game. And Diddy, he was the dealer. He knew how to pick his players. Young, hungry, insecure. Kids who wanted to matter. Kids who didn't know yet that being invited didn't mean being valued. It meant being useful. Justin remembered the compliments, the promises. "You're next," Diddy told him. "The world's yours, just trust me." And for years, he did. He let Diddy shape his image, connect the dots of his career, and most dangerously, dictate the limits of his voice. Justin wasn't just molded, he was manipulated. Trained to confuse silence with loyalty, fame with validation, trauma with normalcy. Here's the kicker though. It wasn't just Diddy. No, the entire industry enabled him. Justin remembered an after-party in LA when one young woman stumbled out of a room barely able to stand. She was crying, heels in one hand, mascara running. And instead of helping her, the security guards laughed, calling her dramatic. A PR rep nearby whispered, "Damage control." And within minutes, she was gone. And that was routine. You weren't supposed to ask questions, Justin said behind closed doors to a friend years before the trial. You were supposed to smile, perform, and pretend you didn't notice, and everyone pretended. Producers, collaborators, even fellow pop stars who now act surprised. Please. They knew. After Justin finally pulled away from that toxic orbit, that's when the punishment started. Media outlets suddenly began pushing the unstatable narrative. Headlines labeled him erratic, out of control, another child star spiraling. But no one asked why. No one asked what had broken him in the first place. Every denial, every missed invitation, every step away from Diddy's world cost Justin another gig. And guess who was behind it? Yep, the same friend who once called him family. Doors slammed, rumors spread, and all of it designed to discredit him, to isolate him, to make sure he never spoke up. But silence? That's the one thing Justin couldn't live with anymore. It's the stories that don't make the headlines that keep Justin up at night. The girls he didn't follow when they slipped into back rooms. The ones who reached out with desperate eyes, hoping someone, anyone, would intervene. The friends who were too scared to call for help because they knew help would never come. He remembered every one of them. There was a girl named Camilla. She told Justin her dreams of dancing professionally. She thought she was at a casting call. Instead, she found herself locked in a penthouse suite with strangers. Justin never saw her again. And then there was the boy who pulled Justin aside one night and whispered, "This doesn't feel right, man. This isn't what I signed up for." 2 weeks later, he vanished from the scene. No word, no trace. These weren't coincidences. They were warnings. Let's not pretend Diddy ruled through charm alone. His real weapon? Fear. You didn't need a gun when you could cancel careers with a phone call, when you could turn executives into enemies and make billionaires jump to your defense. Justin saw it all, how Diddy operated in silence, with smiles in public and threats behind closed doors. People didn't protect him out of loyalty. They protected him because they were terrified. Terrified of becoming the next ghost in the machine. Terrified that if they spoke out, they'd vanish too. And that fear? That's what Justin finally broke through in that courtroom. Diddy called it the circle. A ring of artists, influencers, producers, and handpicked girls who were given access at a price. Justin described them as branded puppets. Pretty on the outside, broken on the inside. They wore luxury, traveled on jets, lived in mansions, but they weren't free. They were controlled, bought, and silenced with contracts and NDAs. And those parties, they weren't celebrations. They were tests. Who would stay quiet? Who could be trusted? Who would go along without blinking? Justin passed those tests at first because he thought it was normal, thought it was what success looked like. But now he knows better. There's always a moment, one you don't forget, when everything shifts. For Justin, it was a night in Vegas. He watched a girl get cornered by two men. One of them whispered something in her ear. She flinched. Justin walked toward them but was pulled back by a security guard. "Don't ruin the vibe," the guard said with a smirk. That was it. Justin went back to his hotel, sat on the floor, and cried because he finally realized if he didn't speak up, the cycle would never stop. So he started writing down everything, every name, every date, every moment, just in case, because if something happened to him, someone needed to know. And back in the courtroom, as Justin finished his testimony, he didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just spoke the truth. Clear, steady, and brutal. Because he wasn't speaking for headlines, he was speaking for healing. He said he still wakes up sweating, still sees those faces, still hears Diddy's voice in the back of his mind. But now that voice doesn't control him. Now the truth does. Justin's final words to the jury: "I can't undo what's been done, but maybe I can help someone else speak. Maybe I can stop the next VIP night before it begins." And that was it. The courtroom didn't erupt, it sat in reverent silence. Because Justin Bieber didn't just testify. He tore down the glittering illusion that hid decades of pain. He didn't just expose Diddy, he exposed an entire industry. And he did it not as a pop star, but as a survivor who finally stopped surviving and started living.